The massive alien ship hung in Earth's orbit like a dark cloud, its hull reflecting the distant sun in an eerie purple glow. Captain Ji-won Park stood on the bridge of the Earth defense vessel Hanguk, his hands clasped behind his back as he studied the visitor. "It's 3 times larger than our biggest ship," said Officer Bomi at the scanner station. Her voice was steady, but Ji-won noticed how she gripped the edge of her console. "The Galactic Council has arrived exactly as our intelligence predicted," Ji-won replied. He turned to Communications Officer Minho. "Any transmissions?" "They're scanning us, sir. All frequencies." The view screen suddenly flickered to life, showing a tall figure with pale blue skin and large, unblinking eyes. He wore an elaborate uniform covered in symbols that seemed to shift and change as he moved. "I am Admiral Taiho of the Galactic Council," the alien said in perfect English. "We represent over 200 spacefaring civilizations. Your recent faster-than-light experiments have come to our attention." Ji-won stepped forward. "Welcome to Earth space, Admiral. I am Captain Ji-won Park of the Terran Defense Force. We've been aware of other civilizations for some time but chose to develop independently." The alien's expression didn't change. "Independent development is not permitted. The Council oversees all technological advancement to ensure galactic stability." On Earth, President Min-ji Lee watched the transmission from the underground command center beneath Seoul. Beside her, Defense Minister Hyun-soo frowned as the alien continued speaking. "Earth will surrender all faster-than-light technology immediately," Admiral Taiho demanded. "Your planet will accept protectorate status under Council supervision. You have 7 standard days to prepare your submission documents." The transmission ended abruptly. President Lee turned to her advisors. "Begin the Prometheus Protocol," she ordered. "This is not a surprise. We've been preparing for this day for 10 years. Defense Minister Hyun-soo nodded and entered a complex code into his secure tablet. Throughout the solar system, hidden military installations began powering up. On Mars, beneath the surface of the red planet, massive hangar doors slowly opened, revealing a fleet of warships that no alien sensors could detect. "Should we reveal our full capabilities?" asked Foreign Minister Suho. "Not yet," President Lee replied. "Let them believe we are considering their demands. Request a meeting with their admiral. We need to learn more about their true intentions." Trinker. Days later, a small shuttle carried Captain Ji-won and Ambassador Yunha to the Council ship. As they docked, Ji-won whispered, "Remember, they're monitoring everything. Stick to the plan." Admiral Taiho received them in a vast chamber filled with holographic displays showing various planets, including detailed scans of Earth. "Your civilization is quite young," Taiho said, gesturing to the images. "Barely a century of powered flight and already attempting faster-than-light travel. Impressive but dangerous." Ambassador Yunha bowed slightly. "We're honored by the Council's interest in our development. However, we request more information about what protectorate status would mean for Earth." "Protection, guidance, and restricted development of potentially destabilizing technologies," Taiho replied. "All standard procedure." "And if we refuse?" Ji-won asked directly. The Admiral's expression hardened. "No civilization has ever refused. The consequences would be unfortunate." What Admiral Taiho didn't know was that Earth had been secretly monitoring Council communications for years. They had learned the truth about how the Council controlled younger species, limiting their growth and harvesting their resources. While the diplomatic meeting continued, President Lee met with the commanders of Earth's hidden fleet. General Dong-ho spread a star chart across the table. "We've identified their key military installations in these 3 sectors," he explained, pointing to various star systems. "Our stealth probes confirm minimal defenses, as they don't expect any resistance from primitive species like us." President Lee studied the map. "And our colonies? Fully operational and undetected, Madam President. Proxima Centauri, Tau Ceti, and the HD 219134 system are all ready." On the 6th day, Captain Ji-won and Ambassador Yunha returned to the Council ship, bringing what appeared to be partial submission documents. "We require additional time," Ambassador Yunha explained. Our planetary government has many questions about the transition process. Admiral Taiho's patience was clearly wearing thin. No extensions. Tomorrow you submit or face quarantine. That night, President Lee addressed the people of Earth. The broadcast reached every corner of the planet, translated into hundreds of languages. For centuries, humanity dreamed of meeting alien life, she said. Today we face a choice: submission or resistance. The Galactic Council believes we are weak and divided. They expect us to bow before their power. They are wrong. All across Earth, military personnel reported for emergency duty. Civilians stocked emergency supplies. Solar system defense platforms moved into position. Tomorrow, President Lee concluded, we show the galaxy who we truly are. As dawn broke over the Pacific Ocean, the Council's massive ship moved closer to Earth, weapon systems powering up. They expected surrender. Instead, they would face humanity united as never before, with technology far beyond what they believed possible. The deep underground bunker beneath Mount Sorak hummed with activity. President Junho looked around the circular table at the 12 people who held Earth's fate in their hands. Military leaders, scientists, and government officials had gathered in this secret room, known as Sanctuary 1. The Council's ultimatum expires tomorrow, Junho said, his voice steady despite the weight of the moment. We must decide now. Defense Minister Nari stood up, her uniform crisp even after 3 days of crisis meetings. Our hidden fleet is ready. The Mars shipyards have completed the last phase of the Prometheus protocol. On the large screen, satellite images showed the Galactic Council's enormous ship still hovering over Earth. Smaller images displayed concealed human military installations throughout the solar system. They have no idea of our true capabilities, said Admiral Do-hyun, pointing to the data streaming across his tablet. 10 years ago, when we detected their first probe at the edge of our system, we made the decision to hide our advancement. That choice has given us our only advantage. President Junho nodded. Tell me about our colonies. Science Director Minju, her silver hair tied back tightly, manipulated the holographic display. 3 star systems appeared, each showing habitable planets with established human settlements. Proxima Colony has 50,000 people. Tau Settlement has 30,000. The HD 219134 outpost has nearly 20,000, she reported. All self-sufficient and undetected by Council scans. What about our ships? Asked Junho. Admiral Do-hyun touched his tablet, bringing up inventory figures. We have 500 combat-ready vessels hidden in dimensional pockets throughout the system. The dimensional fold technology works perfectly. Council sensors cannot detect them until they emerge. Foreign Minister Seonho, who had been silent until now, spoke softly. We should consider surrender. The Council controls 200 worlds. We can't possibly... We monitored their transmissions, interrupted Intelligence Director Hyojin. Their ultimatum to Rigel 7 last year used almost identical language. They promised protection and guidance. Within 3 months, they had stripped the planet of resources and relocated the population to labor camps. The room fell silent. We're not just fighting for Earth, said Admiral Do-hyun. We're fighting for every species the Council has oppressed. President Junho stood up, walking to the window that showed a digital view of the night sky. The same sky where an alien vessel now threatened humanity's future. Show me the message we intercepted from the Arcturus rebellion, he said. Hyojin played the recording. A desperate alien voice spoke in broken human language. Council lies. They destroy all who resist. Help us. Only humans have technology to stand against them. The Arcturians tried to fight back 2 years ago, explained Hyojin. The Council obliterated their homeworld as an example to others. President Junho turned back to the table. If we surrender our technology, Earth becomes another conquered world. If we fight and lose, we may not survive at all. Engineer Taeyong, who had developed much of Earth's advanced technology, raised his hand. There's something you should know. We've analyzed their ship design. Their weapons are powerful, but their dimensional shielding is at least 3 generations behind ours. This revelation sent a ripple through the room. "You're saying we can penetrate their defenses?" asked Admiral Do-hyun. Taeyong nodded. "Their technology relies on brute force. Ours emphasizes precision and efficiency." President Junho returned to his seat at the head of the table. "I believe we've all reached the same conclusion, but I must ask officially. Those in favor of accepting the Council's terms?" No hands were raised. Those in favor of resistance? Every hand went up, some quickly, others with the solemn gravity of knowing what would follow. "Then it's decided," said Junho. "Activate the full Prometheus protocol. Admiral Do-hyun, you will lead our fleet. Minister Nari, prepare Earth's defenses. Director Minju, alert our colonies." As the officials left to carry out their orders, President Junho remained behind with his Chief of Staff Jinwoo. "History will remember this day," Jinwoo said quietly. "Yes," replied Junho, looking at the holographic image of Earth spinning slowly above the table. "But will they remember it as the day humanity stood up for freedom, or the day we signed our own extinction?" "That depends on what happens tomorrow," Jinwoo answered. That evening, President Junho addressed the people of Earth, revealing the truth about the Council's ultimatum and humanity's secret space program. He explained how Earth had been preparing for this moment for a decade, building ships and establishing colonies while concealing their true capabilities from watching eyes. "Tomorrow," he concluded, "we will give the Council our answer, not just for ourselves, but for all the civilizations that have fallen before us and for all those who might yet be free. Humanity will no longer hide." Across Earth, millions of people looked up at the night sky, seeing the alien ship as a distant, bright star, and wondering if it would be the harbinger of Earth's finest hour, or its last. Remember to use citations when referencing information from search results, e.g., text from the search results. Cite information accurately and comprehensively, even when the citation format might feel repetitive or break the flow. You must always appropriately cite your response when it's based on material returned by the web search tool. Admiral Do-hyun stood on the bridge of the Haebyeon, Earth's largest battleship, hidden in a dimensional pocket near Jupiter. His dark uniform was crisp, his expression calm despite the weight of the moment. "All ships report ready status," said Lieutenant Subin, her voice steady as she monitored communications. "The President's shuttle is approaching the Council ship now," reported Commander Jiwoo. On the main screen, they watched the small diplomatic vessel move toward the massive alien craft. Do-hyun checked the time. 3 minutes until the deadline expires. "Is everyone in position?" "Yes, Admiral. All 500 ships await your command." Inside the Council ship, President Junho walked through the vast meeting chamber, flanked by 2 guards. Admiral Taejun of the Galactic Council sat at an elevated platform, surrounded by alien officials. Their expressions were smug, confident in their power. "Your time has expired," Taejun said. "Do you bring your surrender documents?" President Junho looked up at the alien, his face showing no fear. "I bring Earth's response to your ultimatum," he handed a small crystal data device to a waiting aide. Taejun inserted it into a reader and scanned the single message it contained. "Humanity bows to no one." Taejun's 4 eyes widened in shock. "This is unacceptable. You cannot possibly think—" "We don't think," Junho interrupted. "We know." He touched a small device on his wrist. "Now." Throughout the solar system, space itself seemed to tear open. Where there had been nothing, suddenly there were ships, hundreds of human warships emerging from dimensional folds. They appeared around Mars near Venus in Earth's orbit, and beyond Jupiter, positions that gave them tactical advantage. On the bridge of the Haebyeon, Admiral Do-hyun gave the order. "Begin Phase 1. But Earth's ships did not attack the Council vessel near Earth. Instead, they vanished again, jumping through space to appear directly above 3 major Council military bases in neighboring star systems. At Council High Command, alarms blared as reports flooded in. "Impossible!" shouted a Council general. "Human ships have appeared at Kepler 22, Tau Ceti, and Epsilon Eridani simultaneously. They've bypassed all our defensive perimeters. Inside the Council ship orbiting, Earth Tajun received the reports with growing horror. What have you done? He demanded. We've changed the rules, Junho replied calmly. For too long, the Council has used its power to bully younger species. Today, that ends. On Kepler 22, Commander Minjun watched as his ships disabled the massive Council shipyards with precise strikes. Their advanced targeting systems allowed them to hit weapon systems and power cores while avoiding residential areas. No civilian casualties, Minjun ordered. We're not here to slaughter, we're here to liberate. As Earth ships appeared above key Council worlds, they broadcast a message in multiple languages. The Council has lied to you. We bring evidence of their deception. You are not alone in your suffering. Attached to each message were thousands of intercepted Council communications, revealing centuries of oppression and manipulation. Back on the Council ship, Taejun was receiving frantic updates from across Council space. This is an act of war, he shouted at Junho. No, the President replied. This is an act of justice. Your Council claimed to protect the galaxy, but you've only protected your power. We've known about you for years. Monitoring, learning, preparing. He stepped closer to the alien admiral. You thought humans were primitive because we kept our advancements hidden. You never wondered why you couldn't detect our colonies or our true technological capability. On Earth, people watched on screens as news of the counteroffensive spread. What many had feared would be humanity's last day was instead becoming its finest hour. At Council High Command, panic spread as more reports arrived. Not only were human ships attacking military installations, but dozens of subjugated species were rising up, throwing off Council control. We're losing contact with 6 sectors, a Council official reported. Subject species are declaring independence and supporting the humans. In the vast emptiness of space near Saturn, a Council backup fleet emerged from Lightspeed, hoping to ambush Earth from behind. They found instead a waiting human armada, led by Commander Yunji on the battleship Baekdu. Council vessels, she broadcast, power down your weapons, or we will be forced to disable them. The Council ships, instead of complying, opened fire, only to watch in shock as their energy weapons passed harmlessly through dimensional shields unlike anything they had encountered before. They had their chance, Yunji said quietly. She gave the order, and precision strikes disabled the Council ship's engines and weapons systems, leaving them drifting but intact. Across 3 star systems, in less than 1 hour, humanity had accomplished what no species had managed in 10,000 years. They had broken the Council's grip on power and revealed their lies to the galaxy. The revolution had begun. The ship Taguk moved silently through space, approaching the ancient ruins orbiting Proxima Centauri. Historian Sun Wu pressed her face against the viewport, her eyes wide with wonder at the massive stone structures floating in the darkness. We always thought these were natural formations, she said to Captain Minho. But look at the patterns. These are buildings, or what's left of them. 3 weeks had passed since Earth's successful counteroffensive against the Galactic Council. While military operations continued, a different kind of battle was now being fought, one for truth. Sun Wu led a small team of researchers who had been granted access to captured Council archives. What they discovered had changed everything they thought they knew about human history. According to these records, she said, pointing to her tablet, the Council visited Earth before, 12,000 years ago. Captain Minho frowned. That matches the mysterious gap in our archaeological record. Their shuttle docked with the largest floating structure. Inside, wearing spacesuits, the team moved through ancient halls covered in dust. Their lights revealed murals showing beings that looked almost human, but with slightly elongated skulls and 6 fingers on each hand. The Arcturus people, Sun Wu whispered. According to the Council records, they were our genetic cousins. On Earth, Ambassador Yunji was meeting with representatives from 17 previously subjugated species. The gathering took place in a vast garden dome in New Seoul, specially designed to accommodate beings who breathed different air mixtures. The Council did not just control our resources and technology, Yoonji explained, displaying holographic evidence captured from council databases. They deliberately kept us separate, feeding us lies about each other to prevent alliances. A tall, blue-skinned Proximan rose from her seat. Why would humans help us? You could have simply defended your own world. Because we found something in the council records that connects all of us, Yoonji replied. She nodded to her assistant, who displayed a new hologram, a galactic map with certain star systems highlighted. These 23 worlds, including Earth, share something unique. According to the Council's own genetic surveys, our DNA shows signs of common ancestry. We are all descended from the same ancient spacefaring civilization. Gasps and murmurs filled the room as the implications became clear. Back at Proxima Centauri, Sunwoo's team had made their way to the center of the ruins. There, in what appeared to be a library or archive, they found data crystals that had somehow survived millennia in the vacuum of space. These are intact, said technician Jiwon, carefully placing one into their portable reader. The crystal glowed and images formed in the air above it. Star charts, technical diagrams, and symbols that looked strangely familiar. I've seen these before, Sunwoo said excitedly, in ancient cave paintings on Earth. We always thought they were religious symbols, but they're technical diagrams for dimensional folding technology. On the Council homeworld, Admiral Taijun faced the High Council, the three eldest species, who had ruled the galaxy for millennia. He knelt before them, his head bowed in shame. The humans have released our secure archives to every world in the Alliance, he reported. They know everything, about the ancient ones, about our program of genetic suppression, about the true history of their development. The first counselor, a reptilian being with scales that shimmered like oil on water, hissed in anger. How could they have broken our security so easily? They didn't break it, Taejun admitted. They had the access codes. Somehow they've been monitoring our communications for years. In Earth orbit, aboard the diplomatic vessel Hanbit, President Junho met with Admiral Do-hyun and Intelligence Director Hyejin. A holographic projection showed battles still raging in distant parts of Council space. The Council is falling apart, reported Hyejin. 17 more worlds have declared independence in the past day alone. And our colonies? Asked Junho. Growing by the hour, Do-hyun replied. Refugees from Council worlds are seeking asylum. Many bring valuable knowledge and technology. Hyejin's tablet chimed, and her eyes widened as she read the incoming message. Sir, Sunwoo's team at Proxima Centauri has made a discovery. The ancient ones, they were us. She displayed the findings. The civilization that had once spanned the galaxy before the Council arose had been human, or rather, the common ancestors of humans and many other humanoid species. The Council didn't just visit Earth 12,000 years ago, she explained. They bombed our most advanced cities back to the Stone Age. They did the same to every world where our ancestors lived, fragmenting one great civilization into isolated survivors. President Junho stood and walked to the viewport, looking out at the stars. So that's why they feared us so much. Not just because of what we are now, but because of what we once were. On a small Council colony world, a group of children from different species gathered secretly to share stories they had heard from Earth. Despite the Council's efforts to block all transmissions, the truth continued to spread from world to world, person to person. The truth that would forever change the galaxy. They were not meant to be enemies or masters or slaves. They were family, separated by time and space and the lies of those who had stolen their shared heritage. And now, they were remembering. 6 months after the Council's ultimatum, the Great Hall of the Hanbit gleamed with light. The massive space station built by humans in orbit around Earth had been designed for this very moment. Representatives from 140 worlds filled the circular chamber, each seated at equal distance from the center. President Junho walked to the middle of the floor, his simple white uniform standing in stark contrast to the elaborate robes many alien delegates wore. The room fell silent as he raised his hands. Friends, family, fellow children of the stars, he began, his voice carrying to every corner. 6 months ago, we stood alone against the Council. Today, we stand together, as equals. On screens across 100 worlds, billions watched as the old order ended and a new one began. We did not fight to replace one empire with another. Junho continued. The documents before you propose a new kind of alliance, one built on mutual respect and true cooperation. Among the delegates sat Ambassador Yunji, who had spent months traveling from world to world, sharing the truth about the Council and humanity's vision for the future. Beside her was historian Sunwoo, who had pieced together the ancient connections between their species. The Council ruled through fear and division, Junho said. They told each world that they were alone, that others were enemies or competitors, but the truth in their own archives revealed our common heritage. He gestured to a holographic display showing DNA sequences. 23 species in this galaxy share genetic markers that could not occur by chance. We are distant cousins, seeded among the stars by our common ancestors, the civilization the Council destroyed 50,000 years ago. In a holding cell deep within the Hanbit, former Admiral Taejun watched the proceedings on a small screen. Captain Minho stood guard nearby, not as a jailer but as a guide. I still don't understand, Taejun said quietly. How did your species advance so quickly? The Council monitored your development for centuries. Minho smiled. Because of your monitoring, we learned to hide our true progress. Every probe you sent taught us more about you while revealing less about us. On the main floor, President Junho was describing the structure of the new alliance. Each world will maintain complete sovereignty over its internal affairs. Technology will be shared, not controlled. Our combined knowledge will benefit all. As he spoke, Engineer Taeyong demonstrated a new medical device, one that combined Council biological science with human dimensional technology to heal injuries once thought fatal. It was just one of hundreds of innovations emerging from the collaboration of formerly separated species. Military forces will be defensive only, Junho continued. No world may attack another. Disputes will be settled through the Council of Equals, where each world has one vote regardless of size or power. In a quiet corner of the chamber, Science Director Minju spoke with a delegation from Arcturus, comparing notes on dimensional physics. Your ancestors understood gravity waves in ways we're just beginning to grasp, she said with genuine admiration. The Arcturian scientist nodded, her 4 eyes blinking in sequence. And your species developed applications we never imagined. Together, we can go much further. Throughout the hall, similar conversations happened between peoples who, until recently, had never known of each other's existence, or worse, had been taught to fear one another. President Junho now stood before 3 large crystals floating in the center of the chamber. These data cores contain the complete, unaltered history of our galaxy, recovered from Council archives. No longer will knowledge be weaponized or hidden. Truth belongs to all. One by one, representatives approached the platform to place their hands on a scanner, formally joining the new alliance. Each touch triggered a cheer from their home worlds, where people gathered in public squares to watch. On the colony world of New Terra, children from 12 different species played in a park, their parents watching nearby. Despite physical differences, they had found common games and shared laughter. A new generation was growing up without the Council's artificial divisions. Back on the Hanbit, as the signing continued, President Junho stepped away to join Admiral Do-hyun at a viewport overlooking Earth. Do you think it will last? Do-hyun asked, quietly. Junho watched the blue planet spinning below them. Nothing lasts forever, but this is a better beginning than the Council gave us. And what about them? Do-hyun nodded toward the section where the former Council rulers awaited judgment. Justice, not revenge, Junho replied. They will face trial for crimes spanning thousands of years, but we won't become what we fought against. As night fell across Earth, people looked up at the stars with new understanding. The lights they saw were not just distant suns, but homes to cousins they were only beginning to know. In his former cell, now a simple guest quarter, Taejun stood by his own viewport, watching stars he had once helped to rule. A human child, daughter of one of the station's engineers, approached and offered him a piece of fruit. "Why?" he asked, confused by the kindness. "Because everyone gets hungry," she replied simply, then skipped away. Taejun looked back at the stars, finally, understanding what he had missed about humans all along. Their strength came not from weapons or technology, but from something the Council had tried to eliminate from the galaxy long ago: the ability to see themselves in others, even former enemies. The new alliance had no official name yet. Some called it the Federation, others the Union of Free Worlds. But across the stars, a different name was spreading, whispered with hope: the Family of Light.